Town Square Media Station, WTUG HD2 Northport, and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. A Town Square Media Station.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. It's a beautiful day, and remember, it's a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Much like Nick Saban is looking for difference makers, you be that difference maker today. We got a great show lined up for you, so we want to invite you to get in on the conversation and talk with us. As far as the weekend, lots of things happening around the capstone. Of course, we'll break down scrimmage number 2, a little bit of intel coming out from the scrimmage. Won't necessarily talk about everything that we saw, heard, or read from the weekend, but we will get to some of it today and spread it throughout the week, so you can get in on that conversation if you want to at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, live, local, and ready to get things going there. Or you can join us on our live stream under a couple different outlets at Martin Houston 35, Exit and O Sports, amongst them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And like, follow, share, and donate to support the live stream. We appreciate you doing that as you feel led to do so. But please like, follow, share, and donate to support the live stream. As I said, we got a lot of conversation that we can get to on the scrimmage, so we definitely would save that as a rapid part of the show. We got several other things happening around the capstone that we'll get to regarding softball and baseball and basketball. But I want to give you a chance to let your thoughts brew a little bit in regards to the scrimmage. And so we'll have a little bit of Nick Saban's audio that we'll break down here in just a moment. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir? Is X on with me?
Yes, he is.
Not getting anything on this side, so we'll try to bring him back in just a moment. As I was saying, just a couple of things that we can get to around the capstone. Kudos, I didn't say this last week, but kudos to Montana Fouts making the Team USA as far as from a pitcher standpoint. Kudos to her. One of those interesting conversations, even though her teams have not been as dominant as some of the other Alabama teams, is she potentially, if she had the bats of some of the other pitchers, would she be at the top of Mount Rushmore? From a softball standpoint, I've watched her and it seems like she's just dominant. And kudos to the softball team for getting their first series sweep of the season over Mississippi State. And Fouts getting win number 17 with the 1-0 victory, even when she's winning, not getting a lot of bat support. So you can talk about Montana Fouts and where she belongs in, I know in softball history, but she may be one of the top athletes to come through the capstone, irregardless of that. But kudos to her. Baseball winning the Iron Bowl, it doesn't get as much love, but big wins for Alabama baseball as got spanked in game one, but came back and won games 2 and 3 against the Auburn Tigers and put themselves in 4th place. So kudos to the baseball team as they continue to battle out on that side of things as well. And then last but not least, we got Nate Oats conversation that we can get to on the basketball court. Before we get into it, Chuck Hunt bringing up something we can do 2 things this morning. As we one is kind of a not kind of is a football story, but 2 young people, Tuscaloosa, West Alabama area, killed in a car accident. To pray for their families as from prom this past weekend. And then also, I don't know if you saw or not, the young man that was scheduled to go play football for Jacksonville State from Dadeville. Young man was shot amongst 4 others killed, and I think 28 injured at a Sweet 16 party over in Tallapoosa County. So we lift up those families, those individuals, and all impacted as a result of the senseless violence. I do not make a statement in terms of gun control. I think like everything else, guns are what they are. It's the people, and if we don't change the hearts and minds of people, violence will continue in some sort, some fashion. So let's not just focus on the gun. Let's focus on the people and change their hearts and create hope and opportunity and character, and we'll go from there. But back to the conversation with Nate Oats, X, and we'll wrap up the first conversation with them, and then we'll come out of the second quarter talking some football, as Nick Saban had some things to say. We've talked a lot about one of the rooms being big time, but there's another group that I think is going to be lights out, and I'll tell you who I think what group that is, and Saban briefly mentioned them as well. But back to Nate Oats. Nate Oats has hired 2 coaches, and assistant, current, former. It's hard to give his resume, so I'll just give a brief resume as he's hired former Birmingham Squadron head coach Ryan Penon off of the New Orleans Pelicans staff, and he's coming here. And then Austin Conch from Nichols State, both head coaching experience. So thus far, you would have to say on the surface, has Nate Oats improved his coaching staff potentially at this point? I don't know what's going on. I am not hearing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure this out, but I mean, potentially, Clownch, my goodness, he had a heck of a run there at Nichols State.
So, Yeah, we need to figure that out. Yeah, I mean, you have. I want to try to let's see if we can get the break and figure out what's going on with that audio, and then we can come back on the other side. We'll pick that conversation back up. Has he improved his staff? And 2 down, 1 to go. What advice are you giving Nate Oats on this third hire in terms of his coaching staff? We'll talk about it right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. Remember, Taco Casa, quality, taste, value under the biggest cactus in town. Go check them out for lunch and or dinner. They'll be glad to serve you 40 plus years and counting. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. All you have to do is pick up that phone, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, or post your thoughts and comments in chat.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we've got a wreck on University Boulevard at 5 Points, headed back into Tuscaloosa. Lane blockage and delays. Everything else looks good. If you see conditions, give me a call. Now's the time to trade at your hometown dealer. It's Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa with a great selection, and they'll give you top dollar for your trade. I'm Captain Ray.
Experience a level of performance you've never seen in a tournament bass boat until now in your new Haynes bass boat powered by Mercury. From Boatworks in Northport, the overall ride and performance of Haynes CX line powered by Mercury is a true game changer. They've been able to remove the chine walk without compromising top-end speed or rough water handling capabilities. See the complete line of Haynes CX model bass boats powered by Mercury at Boatworks, located in the old L&L Marine location on Highway 82 West in Northport.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with autosave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Years ago, Jimmy Rain decided that the best way to advertise Great Southern Wood was through coaches. Gene Stallings, Pat Dye, Steve Spurrier, and myself, and many more coaches took to the radio and TV airwaves to tell people that if you're building outdoors, the only way to build is with pressure-treated pine, yellow wood. It is the very, very best. Why? Because all the coaches said yellow wood, pressure-treated pine, protects against bug, termite, and weather. Decking, fencing, play sets, whatever you're wanting to build, just go to the internet, look at yellow wood, and you will find these coaches advertised a great product. If it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, believe you me, you don't want it. It's yellow wood.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A picture-perfect spring day today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa's high 73. Clear tonight and cool, the low at 46. For tomorrow and Wednesday, sunny both days with a warming trend. The high tomorrow, 81. The high Wednesday at 84. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 46 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Get things rolling as we kick off the second quarter this morning. We're talking a little hoops, basketball. We're going to talk some scrimmage, spring practice here in just a moment. Nick Saban having some good comments. I want to hear what he had to say about the tight end room because I'm in total concurrence for that. So we'll get that audio teed up for you here in just a moment. But let's circle back to that basketball conversation we were having. Nate Oats has two coaches on the staff. Penon from around the world, most recently Birmingham Squadron head coach, G League, and also actually he excuse me, as we move forward there, he played, did some development coaching there with the G League, and then he's most recently been with New Orleans. And then, of course, Conch out of Nicholls State. Has he improved his staff, X?
I think he has. When you look at the coaching experience that these two guys bring to the staff, I would say that at worst case, it's the same level and has very good potential to be a better staff just based off of these two guys. Now it's going to be interesting to see what he does with the third coaching spot. And Curtis Lewis made a great point. Finding someone with strong AAU ties, that like an Antoine Petway that is connected to the coaches, or someone with a strong portal presence.
Yes, without a doubt. I think a couple of things that you look at from this staff: head coaching experience, number one. I think Nicholls State is a guy potentially. A lot of times when you get these head coaches from these other schools, man, they're used to developing players. They're used to they're not used to getting the 5-star guys. So they're used to helping a player get better, not just throwing them out there and letting their talent take over. Not that coaches at the higher level don't do that, but that's usually a skill set that they come with. So that's Claunch. Think about now you have a guy who Penon, who has coached at the G League level. Hey, you want to get to the league? This guy right here knows exactly what it takes to get to the next level. He's coached at the college level. He's coached at the G League level, and he's coached at the NBA level. So that's really, really good. Love that. Then you find to Curtis, he said AAU and portal savvy. And I am not a affirmative action guy, but I'm gonna tell you, he better get some diversity on his staff. In my opinion, I think that's important. Not get a guy just because he's African American, but because you need that representation to relate to your players as well, and not always from the player standpoint. Sometimes you need it just to go sit in some of the homes, and people don't want to hear this. They don't want to say it. Some people are going to be afraid to say it, but the reality of it is he needs to find the most qualified coach. Okay, but I'm saying if I'm giving him advice on the backside, I'm saying if you can find someone that will improve your staff, that's a person of color, you need to do that. Because not because these guys can't coach, because these guys have coached black players everywhere they've been. But what do people say about Nick Saban? What have people been saying about Nick Saban for 12 years? He's old. He's old. Well, his age hadn't impacted him. So people will use whatever they can against you. And so that's my suggestion to him, to diversify his staff some, so he removes that obstacle, but not just for that reason. I think it helps him potentially with the AAU tie. I think it helps him when he gets ready to go to the portal. I think it helps him when it comes to recruiting in general. I think it helps him when he goes to sit down in the different homes. I just think it'd be a smart move to diversify his staff. Your thoughts, X?
No, I mean, I agree from that standpoint. I mean, as you said, not necessarily the affirmative action viewpoint, but the diversity as, aspect of it, and how that there will be coaches that will use that type of viewpoint against them and things. And it's just a it's just a smart move in general to have a diversified staff in today's society and game.
Absolutely. And of course, something being true, it doesn't matter if it's true or not in today's culture, unfortunately. It just has to be said. And if it's said enough, people begin to believe it. So Nate Oats, to me, Nate Oats, if you look at 8, and I need that tight end audio, and it's when he was asked about Dupree from the scrimmage. He was asked about Dupree's thought process and how he's doing. So if you're looking at audio, that's the audio I'm looking for the tight end. But X, any closing thoughts in regards to the basketball before we transition over to some football scrimmage?
No, I mean, I like the move that. Well, I like the moves that Coach Oates has made, and I think he's going to round his staff out very well, no matter who he decides to go with.
Okay, yeah. From a scrimmage standpoint, let's make a little loop over to that. What have you heard? We'll definitely get to the Justice Haynes, but what else have you heard or read or whatever or saw coming out, comments you have that nobody else may not be talking about from the scrimmage, because Justin Haynes has kind of stole the show?
Justice Haynes, from everything I've heard, has definitely stole his show.
Let's save that conversation. Let's save that conversation. I'm saying, other than Justice Haynes,
I know. But Jam Miller, from what I've heard, is a special talent. I know that's a guy that me and you have liked since he got on campus, and we got to see flashes of him last year. But there's reports out there he broke a 90-something yard run on the first team defense on Saturday, took it down the sideline. I mean, special talent, and I think he's kind of getting overshadowed because you got the two older guys. You've got the big name true freshman that's come in, but he's the guy that I think is going to be a real ball player and make things happen for this Alabama team, potentially short yardage, but also he's shown flashes of being a big play capability as well.
Absolutely. He is a big time. I have been a Jam Miller fan from the beginning, and he's to me he's a lot like Mark Ingram. I think both of these young guys are, and he's definitely clearly to me one of the stronger backs, more powerful backs, and I'm not sure that him and Haynes aren't the best two backs. So it's kind of an interesting thought when you think about Jam Miller and Haynes, and will they be able to keep these guys off the field, X, because the Miller run, no one's talking about it. I don't care if it's against the first team, the second team, or the scrubs. You take a run 90-plus yards, you've added something to your game that I was not aware of you having, and that's speed. And so I knew that Miller was a fast guy, but you make a 90-yard run against the talent of Alabama, you've done something special. And so Miller definitely doing some things that gets you excited. But of course, we know what Saban has said about Haynes, and we'll get that in the next quarter. Let's talk a little bit about the quarterback. The quarterback room. Curtis Moore, in all caps, said, "I haven't heard anything about incompletions, interceptions, bad reads, in essence, any negative growth issues at any position. So therefore, I take all this information, sift it out with a grain of salt." Well, not everything is always sifted out. I can tell you that some of it is eyewitness that I trust, not just from people who didn't see. Sometimes you have some of the media guys, you have to take it with a grain of salt because they're going off of what they saw in the first 5 minutes. I can tell you that when I look at the quarterback position, I think spring scrimmages kind of go negative, or not go negative, give a positive or a hand up to a guy like Ty Simpson. I think he gets an advantage X because one of his skill sets, perceived skill sets, is that he's a better passer. Jalen's skill set, one of his perceived strength, is his legs. And I don't think you get to see that side be as freely it is interesting to say that Reese came in potentially with a bias or a lean towards Simpson, since he had recruited him and knew him a lot, and the fact that they're very even probably shows that Jalen Milroe is having a really good spring. And I know we forget about what he did against Arkansas with his legs. I know that has happened a couple times and it has not been mentioned. X.
Yeah. Well, I'm from things that I heard at the scrimmage. Both guys threw touchdowns. Both guys threw one interception apiece. So there's still definitely some growing pains within that room, and it's going to take some time for things to get sorted out completely. And they're throwing a bunch of different mixes with the offensive line, trying to find that number one group. It seems like we have a pretty solid clue on who's going to be that first group, but there's still some rotation within it as well with the wide receiver room. From everything that I've read and talked to people that were there, you've got a group, 5 or 6 guys that they're really rotating, trying to find a level of chemistry with. So that's part of the growing pains and things, right? Just with timing on routes, with just a few weeks of practice. But it's going to get better. And, as you said, their spring practice benefits Ty because these quarterbacks can't be touched. And, a slight hand on the back or on the hip is a sack, or the quarterback's down by contact. But I did see someone that said that Jalen did take off one time and absolutely broke Marshall, the Georgia transfer's ankles on a big run that probably would have been a touchdown in a real game. So it's going to be interesting to see how it continues. But both guys, from what I've heard, have shown flashes of great ability, but also some growing pains along with it.
Yeah, Pat will love this. His guy, Heel, made a couple big catches from Saturday, as well as Caden Proctor looking apart. A guy that getting some reps with the twos. Local Northridge kid Wilkin getting some reps. Don't know what all of that means yet, but definitely some rotation there. Pritchett running first, but also getting reps with second. So they're working through some chemistry. All I can tell you is Alabama is a massive massive offensive line. And as Wolford continues to work with these guys on some down block, on some pass power run blocking, I think things will look good. I do not think we're going to get to see what style of offense we're really going to run. We threw the ball a lot. The young guys, young quarterbacks did some special things. A couple really nice passes from Holstein, quick release, quick reader, I should say, in terms of releasing the ball. So lots of good things coming out from the scrimmage that we can get into. But Justice Haynes and the tight end room, I want to have that conversation on the other side. Is the fact that those two positions can be special, our quarterbacks will be special as well. We'll talk about it right here. So stay tuned for more of that conversation. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't you go anywhere. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports on Tide 100.9.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. Alabama men's basketball guard Adam Cottrell has entered the transfer portal. Three-star class of 2024 tight end Martavius Collins has committed to the Auburn Tigers. Collins was a former Alabama commit. Former Alabama linebacker Drew Sanders talks on the differences between playing for Nick Saban and Sam Pittman.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we've got a wreck on University Boulevard at 5 points, headed back into Tuscaloosa, lane blockage and delays. Everything else looks good. If you see conditions, give me a call. Now's the time to trade at your hometown dealer. It's Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa with a great selection, and they'll give you top dollar for your trade. I'm Captain Ray.
Easy Cater presents We've Got Your Back. Up Singers.
Backup singers. So I ordered barbecue for a 20-person client meeting. Easy Cater calls and says, "Hi, Sarah, you probably need more food for that many people. Want us to add it for you?" Got it for you. I say, "Yes, please." Yes. Turns out they were right. Good thing they asked, because Joyce's meeting notes can be pretty sassy when she's hungry. Look out.
Client meetings. Easy Cater has your back with over 100,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 on easycater.com and know.
We got your back.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi. Be sure to join Relay for Life on Friday evening, April 28th at Central High School. Our community is really coming together as one to raise funds for the American Cancer Society. That means greater advancements in medicine that can help save lives. Support 24/7 by phone, video chat, or online. Even advocating to make cancer a top priority for our local and state governments. It celebrates people who have been touched by cancer, remembers loved ones lost, and gives everyone the chance to take action for life-saving change. For more, visit relayforlife.org. Experience a level of performance you've never seen in a tournament bass boat until now in your new Camus bass boat powered by Mercury. From Boatworks in Northport, the overall ride and performance of Camus CX line powered by Mercury is a true game changer. They've been able to remove the chine walk without compromising top-end speed or rough water handling capabilities. See the complete line of Camus CX model bass boats powered by Mercury at Boatworks, located in the old L&L Marine location on Highway 82 West in Northport.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Yeah, CJ's done a really good job. He had a little ankle sprain or foot sprain or something for a while and missed a little bit, but I think he's going to be a good player for us. He's a good competitor. He can do all three things you want him to do at tight end, whether it's playing the C area, be an H-back type of blocker, or split out and be a good receiver. So we're excited about him and the contribution he can make. And that whole tight end group, this spring has really, Danny Lewis has really made a lot of progress. Amari has made a lot of progress. That whole group has really made a lot of improvement. Robbie Oats is not out there because of injury, but I've really been encouraged by
how that group has improved and progressed.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show. That's Coach Nick Saban talking about the tight end room. Impressive looking group. Long, lean, athletic. Good to hear that Dupree can do all three. Kilselman appears to have transformed his body even a little bit more, a little more athletic, can get out there in space as well. And so that tight end room is something special from a athletic looking group. I mean, if you were to put Latu in with these guys, the only guy that if you were just putting them beside each other, and I'm not being ugly, Oats is not out there right now. Oats has a special place. He can be the fullback, he can be the H-back, tight end. He's not a big time weapon, even though we did use him in the Auburn game to catch the ball. He has a different place, and I think he has a role that he will definitely be good at. But Latu would probably be at best the third most athletic looking guy, but probably the fourth behind Dupree, Kilselman, actually maybe fifth, Lewis and Nyblack. Those guys look like big, long, lean wide receivers / tight ends who can play in space.
Yeah, they all look the part when it comes down to just physically. From what I've seen, and heard from people, Danny Lewis has done a lot to reshape his body. Looks bigger but more lean as well. Not Black putting good weight on and Kilselman as well, transforming his body over the last year or so, been in the weight room program. And of course, Dupree with we've talked about him being the transfer in, and he's the grown man, I would say, out of the group, being the oldest and the most physically mature. But this tight room is going to be competitive. We talk about the running back room, we talk about the quarterback room, the wide receiver room, as far as competitiveness. But this tight end room has a chance to be special, and it is extremely deep.
Yeah, and we'll circle back on that conversation, but we got a couple callers want to get to, because I think a young quarterback's best friend is a good run game and good tight ends who are not afraid to go across the middle, and who can also stretch the field against potentially a fourth or fifth DB and or a linebacker in coverage in one-on-one. So Alabama has added some guys that I think can do that if we use them effectively. You could see some of that Notre Dame flash as potential for the Alabama tight ends, as Notre Dame produced in this past season, one of the top tight ends coming out. Joey, thanks for your patience. You're in on the Alabama One hotline with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Yeah, Martin, I wanted to just ask you with your expertise about something. Given shifts in, I guess, offensive philosophy, would it be possible that our offense could be run with two running backs, like two different kind of halfbacks back there, because we have such a stable or high number of great running backs, so that it'd be different ones, then the defense doesn't know, is the fast one the fleet one gonna get it, or is the strong bull gonna get it?
I do
your
think
feedback on that.
Yeah, I do think you'll see some two-back offenses. And let me tell you why I think you'll see that, because of what Nick Saban just said about the tight end position. I think you have the ability to come out with two running backs, a tight end, and two wide receivers. But because of the athletic ability of our tight ends, if you come down into to stop that run, I think you will see the Duprees and Nye Blacks and Lewises and all that be able to move out into a slot position and become the third wide receiver. And so now you created a situation where if you're trying to stop the two back offense, you're gonna potentially give us a mismatch with the tight end. And if you don't move the tight end out, then you're gonna have a clear. If you don't move out with the tight end and adjust to that shift, I think you will, leave that wide open. If you go out, then you create more of an opportunity to see a runner have some numbers because now you have you don't have the numbers in the box. So yes, I think so. I think the key will be whether or not Jam and Justice can block. You see what I'm saying? Like if they can add a blocking element to their game, and they don't have to be great blockers, they just have to be positional blockers from the running back position. I think you'll definitely see them be out there with the other two guys.
All right. Well, that was my question. That was my big thing. I just saw like you said, some mismatch or could cause some confusion with the defense.
Absolutely, you can increase numbers.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. X, you have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think it'd be a great addition and change to the offense. I know we saw glimpses of it last year with Jason, Jameer, but it could definitely become more of a staple of the offense. It wouldn't surprise me if you see some crazy combinations out there on the field as far as two tight ends with two running backs. I think this team can be a lot more versatile than last year's team because of positional growth and additions to the team.
Yeah. And I think from a talent standpoint and a development standpoint, at this point in the season, every position on Alabama will be a clear upgrade from a talent standpoint, from except for quarterback. So there's some young guys that have made plays, as I said, about Hill and a couple catches. But, Caleb Downs getting a lot of reps with the ones on the defensive side of the ball. So it's a lots of stuff going on over there. Saban's keeping it close to the vest, but I think Nick Saban is quietly very, very pleased with some of the progression that's happening on this team. Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, sir. Man, I got my boy from Longview, Texas, had a couple passes there. It looked like to me. But my buddy from do what now?
I said he did.
But yeah, it was Cream's going to come to the top. I'm looking really forward to A-Day this weekend and getting to see for myself. Hey, man, from what I'm hearing, Morton, I can't find any weaknesses. Where are the weaknesses? I mean, we've been pointing out good things. Where are the weaknesses on this team other than not being valuing the football by either quarterback throwing interceptions?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, they threw more passes Saturday. Like I was talking to someone at lunch yesterday, Pat, and I've heard coaches brag about players ending the game and not getting fouls. I have a different philosophy about fouls. And what I mean by that is you ain't playing aggressive enough if you play a whole basketball game and don't foul anybody, especially if you guarding the ball the entire time. Or the officials will let you get away with stuff. Because my philosophy is I want you to be aggressive on defense, and so don't always read what you hear as a complete negative. If I throw the ball 10 times and throw one interception, is that's 1 out of 10. But what if I throw the ball 50, 60 times and have 2 interceptions.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So just know that sometimes increased turnovers just mean that you added more to your offensive scripting of what you wanted to accomplish. Sometimes an interception comes, Pat, because a guy tipped the ball. Sometimes an interception comes because the guy ran the wrong route. They're running so many different combinations out there right now. This team seems to have a lot of depth, and they have a lot of mixture between 1 and 2. From the receiving core, you couldn't really tell 1 and 2. So it's an interesting thought. X, any comments from you on that?
Yeah, it from what I've heard, it wasn't bad interceptions. You know, I mean, this guy's trying to make plays, and it's coming from guys who are trying to win a job, and you want them to make their mistakes at this point of the year during spring ball, taking chances and things of that nature. So, yeah, you don't like to hear interceptions, but they're going to happen, especially in spring ball, especially when you're going up against a defense that you're going up against every day, and it's easier for them to read your plays. But the big thing I've heard that you would consider a negative is too many penalties still. Alabama has to clean up that part of it. Post play, pre-snap, those are the things that you're going to want to clean up. Not really a lot of in between the whistle penalties.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Go ahead, Pat.
go ahead. I said, y'all not saying, what about weaknesses that man? I'm not hearing. I'm hearing secondary looks decent. And I'm hearing offensive line is becoming special. Run blocking is becoming special. Running back.
I will tell you, Pat.
Spring angles are not special because
here's the concern, Pat.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a question. Here's the concern. I don't know how fast the first group is of outside linebackers, but the second group is extremely fast. Robinson can flat out get off the corner. Okay. And so right now we have who all's out, X, from outside linebacker?
Well, if you do linebackers as a whole, 3 of the 4 guys that are going to be starters this year are out. Braswell's out with a shoulder injury. Dallas is out, and Deontay Lawson is out. Coach Saban said himself, he said Lawson's the best inside linebacker, so it's going to be a competition to see who starts beside him. Jihad Campbell was getting a lot of first team reps, along with Tremaine Marshall, the transfer from Georgia. But on the outside, you saw a lot of Jeremiah Alexander, Keanu Coate, and Quindarius Robinson. So they're getting a lot of important reps, in my opinion, because I believe Saban trusts and has a lot of trust in Braswell, Turner, and Lawson already.
So, Pat, the reason I say that is this offensive line is improving. I think that the challenge for this offensive line will not be run blocking. I believe it will be pass blocking and speed on the edge. Latham is a big body tackle. Pritchett, big body tackle, athletic but big body. Proctor, same thing. Wilkin, same thing. All these are big and they're long guys, so they can make the corner really long to get around. But if a guy has a good spin move or something like that, then they could potentially, or a good stop and start move, they could potentially. That would be where one of the places I would say that we probably will have to look at. Once we get back with the guys, but that's and sometimes it's hard to know sacks. Sometimes guys get sacked in scrimmage and in A-Day that would not be a sack. Okay. because they blow the whistle. Anybody that's ever been to a scrimmage or whatever, they blow the whistle when a guy runs by the quarterback and sticks his arm out and touches his shoulder, and that's all he would have done in full speed. But they blow the whistle. You also know that the quarterbacks hold the ball. Unfortunately, sometimes can create a bad habit, Pat. They sometimes hold the ball longer than they should because they know that they're not going to get hit. So they're trying to make all of the reads and stuff like that. But I think defense, Pat, is going to have to we won't fully know how good this defense can be. But Steele has put in one of the things that we'll probably see is Steele has put in a couple of, I don't know what you'll see in spring. It's hard to say what you're going to see in spring, but I think the mentality of our defense will be better. We got a couple practices left before 8A. I'm not going to put a whole lot on what I see on Saturday. I'm going to talk about it, Pat. I'm going to and be excited about the good things I see, but also recognize that with two new coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators, we're not going to give the other teams a chance to see what direction we're going to take. So whatever we see Saturday, I think will definitely not be the foundation of what we will do in the fall. Because why would Nick Saban give them 3-4 months to start preparing?
Okay. All right. One last question. Is Jefferson as fast as advertised?
I have not seen Jefferson. He's one of those guys that didn't do anything. I've not heard any flash or anything about him. So okay. I gave you a shout out on the one that I've heard and see.
Yeah, I heard you.
He'll Hale has made a big time jump, and X can respond to this, but I'm gonna tell you, Law, Bond, Prentice, plus new guy
Benson.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just telling you. Just hear those names: Law, Bond, Prentice, new guy. They're all a year better. They're all a year better.
Those guys are going to be special. Those guys are going to be special.
Pat, I think some of the guys may have left because they knew what we were going to see.
that would not surprise me one bit.
Yeah. Well, hey, when you can look around, and you realize that, hey, that pond's just getting bigger and deeper. Hey, y'all have a blessed afternoon, and
you too, Pat.
Great show.
All right, thanks. X, what you got?
No, one thing I know this from reports. You and Aiden might have to take a back seat on this Holstein thing. Lonergan has been getting a lot of snaps as that third team quarterback. So just going to throw that out there.
It's always a possibility. Hey, listen, it doesn't matter to me. I told you I chose Holstein so I wouldn't get caught in the whole Ty Simpson and Milroe debate. If one of those guys don't come out as the starter, we probably may have to reset for a year. So,
Dylan Lonergan was sent by the deep state to distract us from Eli Holstein.
It's definitely possible, but Holstein does look good. Lonergan looks.
They both look good.
Yeah, for young guys, they both are doing well. But this Alabama team has a lot to offer. Gets you excited when you start thinking about this team. So we'll keep reporting what we hear, see, and read. If you have input, it's always welcome here on the Martin Houston Show, whether it be on the Alabama One Hotline or via chat. We appreciate you being a part of the program each and every day as we are here at 6 a.m. Tomorrow, going to be a great show, but I'm going to be at the West Alabama Prayer Breakfast. So you make sure you come back and talk with X about some of the things happening around the capstone, specifically on the gridiron. And we do it every day on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports, from 6 to 7 a.m. Then we share it back throughout our online live stream network throughout the day. So if you miss something, you can always catch up with it. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. For Xavier Houston, Aiden Dollins, myself, and all of the caller, listener, viewers, and chatters, I'm Martin Houston saying so long and roll tide.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Here's what's trending